I did not want to do this. We are going to talk about hallucinations. And the reason we're going to talk about hallucinations is because I can't get people to stop talking to me about hallucinations. So here we are, we're doing it. Look, at the end of the day, the fact that ChatGPT was released when it was at the capability level it was released at means that we have a massive overhang of credibility that we have to make up. ChatGPT is much more credible than people believe it is. Claude is much more credible than people believe it is. It's not really just about ChatGPT, but for the people who care about this, it's always ChatGPT because that's the language model they know. But Gemini, same deal. What I'm trying to say is when ChatGPT was released back in 2022, there were enough high-profile hallucinations that people misunderstood what AI can actually do and chalked it up to a bunch of lies. And I still hear that all the time. And I am just, it's like every day I hear this and I'm just dealing with it. I'm just going to talk about it. What I want to say is that we have a different bar for AI than we have for humans. For humans, if I had an unreliable researcher, frankly, a human researcher, who was an intern, and that intern took a week to prepare me a 40-page report, and if that intern made 3 mistakes in that 40-page report, I would say, great, and I would love to use that report in whatever I'm working on. If an AI comes back in 30 minutes with a 40-page report and it makes 3 mistakes, we say it's not good enough. It needs to be perfect. Why? It's already cut the time by 100x. Why does it need to be perfect? Why does it need to be more perfect than people? Now, there's other reasons to say that hallucinations are not that big a deal. But I think that's the most compelling one to me, because if you want AI to do useful work, then you just have to believe that the work it can do is more useful than the time it takes to check for hallucinations. And we are well past that bar. Does that mean that hallucinations don't matter? Does that mean a lawyer should not be checking their case by case citations if they're using AI? Does that mean a doctor shouldn't be checking the medical reasoning of an AI? Obviously not. Obviously, we should be checking and we should be working to reduce hallucinations. Great. But the fact that we are at a point now where it can clearly and obviously do useful work means that AI has crossed the event horizon. It is no longer just a plaything. It is something we can do work with. And I think, unfortunately, that credibility overhang is biting this industry in the butt. Because at the end of the day, most people who are not sitting in this YouTube circle, if I talk to them about AI, hallucinations are the first thing out of their mouth. It's the first thing they talk about. Hey, what about hallucinations? I heard it makes stuff up. I heard it lies. Honestly, it lies less than the average human does at this point, most of them. The hallucination rate, which, by the way, it's really hard to measure hallucination rate. I looked into this. I wrote a Substack about this if you want to check it out. If you don't, I don't care. It's a good read, though. And it goes deep in on what hallucinations are. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is that what we call the hallucination rate varies by a factor of 10, depending on the task you give it. The same model can come in at 1.5% and 15%. And by the way, I'm not making that up. That's roughly where ChatGPT 4.5 comes in, depending on which hallucination measure you use. Context really matters. The kind of task you give it really matters. One of the reasons why I don't worry about hallucinations personally is because I don't give AI a situation where it is likely to make up hallucinations and then blame it. I figure that's mismanaging my employee. Like, why would I do that? I don't ask AI to do things that are virtually impossible unless it imagines or hallucinates or confabulates information. Because that's useless. Why would I do that? It's such a powerful tool for what it can do well. Why not specify your sources where you want it to go look? Why not be careful in my prompting and be really clear and structured? Because it does well when I do that. That's just easier for me. So a lot of these things that actually reduce hallucinations, turns out that they're just best practice for working with AI. I don't know. Seems like we should follow best practice. And so to me, like our OpenAI, our Anthropic, are they working on this? Sure. Is DeepMind at Google working on this? Absolutely. Does that mean that we're going to have 100% no hallucination models next year? I guarantee you we will not. And I also just about guarantee you it won't matter. It won't matter for real work. It's going to matter enormously for public perception because we are trained to assume that computers must be perfect. Because everything we've had in computers for 100 years, well, not 100 years, call it 60 years, has been deterministic computing. It has been programs that if A plus B equals C, then whatever, right? Like it's all mathematics. It's algorithmic. Everything is determined in the program when it runs. And so we can expect perfection. And all of our movies say the same thing. None of us are ready for an AI where we taught the rocks to think and they turn out to be poetic dreamers. We're just not ready for that. And the fact that the AI doesn't inherently have a factual world model. The fact that we can talk about a 1.5% error rate in certain hallucination tests for ChatGPT 4.5 is a freaking miracle. I am astonished. These things, they dream. They come up with probabilistic tokens that they think match what you're looking for. They have no factual world model underneath. It's amazing they get anything right at all. It's kind of incredible. And so within that world, yeah, I do think we need to baseline on humans more. I do think we need to take seriously the fact that they do work. And I think that we need to come up with better answers as an industry for people who say all it does is lie. All it does is make stuff up. And by the way, the people who do that tend to be quite unreliable narrators themselves. I have never heard that kind of aggressive contrarian take from someone who isn't, to some degree, personally threatened by AI and needing to denigrate it. So there is absolutely a leading edge of change here. People who are worried about their jobs, people who are worried about what will happen to their work are going to be more likely to denigrate AI. And do I have a study for that? I will admit, frankly, I don't. That is based on me having conversations with hundreds of people. It's just something I've observed. So where does that leave us? At the end of the day, AI is going to get to a point, in fact, arguably is already crossing the line, where it is more reliable in most fields than most humans. At which point, we should stop worrying so much about hallucination for AI and logically worry about hallucination for ourselves. And we're not, and the reason why we're not is pretty simple. It's the same reason why Waymo vehicles are not more popular, even though they're vastly safer. It's the same reason why we haven't outlawed human driving in the US, even though statistically speaking, in US testing, automated driving is already so much safer, it costs lives to keep human drivers on the road. And I say the US because that's where it's been tested. It's probably true everywhere else in the world too. We are a stubborn race. We are a stubborn species. We do not easily give up on something we think is true. We think humans should drive. I do not see that disappearing anytime soon, even though that kills people. We think AI hallucinates. I don't think that belief is disappearing, even though it is demonstrably, easily, obviously proved to be an unhelpful belief. But we have to try. We have to try and explain to people what really matters here. We have to do our best to educate. And this is a challenge for all of us in the industry. And I got so tired of hearing about hallucinations. I wrote a giant Substack on it. I did this. We've got to be able to talk